Hi, my name is Casey, and this is the channel Piece of Our. Piece meaning part of our meaning of everything that is already in existence. So, part of what is, basically. I came up with that name shuffling through a tarot deck and going through numerology and kind of matching up my astrology from my birth chart with some numerology and coming up with that. I was actually looking for a band name at the time, and now it's just like whatever. Anyway, I'm 24 years old. I'm a massage therapist. I live in Chicago, Illinois. I live with my current girlfriend. I live with my dog, Lishma, who is around here somewhere. I have been out on my own, living in my own apartment, well, paying for my own apartment for for like 3 months, almost 4 months, I guess now. I've been working at Massage Envy for almost a year, but I won't bore you with any more of those details. The reason I want to make this channel is because I have a lot of issues. Like, okay, uh, basically, as I mentioned, I've only been out on my own for a year or so. I mean, before I was here in this situation, I guess wasn't in a good state, like in and out of mental hospitals, relying on family and friends for emotional support, financial support. Any decisions I made had to be, I was hurting people that I was really close to, losing a lot of friends, high all the time, smoking a lot of weed, kind of dabbling in promiscuous sex, and that was not intentional, like kind of just with anyone. And drinking when I didn't have pot, and if I didn't have money, I would steal pills from people I was close to, like painkillers and whatnot. And I guess that was at my ultimate low. And then there was that psychotic break and spiritual epiphany when I would scream all day for hours. And like, this is the other side of that. After I come out of that, I've become this person, and I've actually even changed my name. And I didn't realize the name change was significant until when it happened, because I was changing my name for a whole different reason. Other story for a different time. But yeah. So eventually, I've always been obsessed with health. As a kid, I didn't know what to eat because I wasn't sure what was healthy for me, because everything seemed to contradict itself. And I'm talking like age 12, 11, 13, like at very young age, I was interested in what kind of things I would put into my body to not, I guess looking good was part of the issue, but more or less, I wasn't sure what the right things were to be put in my body. And it wasn't until like eventually I was, a vegetarian for so long, and having an addictive personality, of course, I went back to eating meat, and then I would get better again, becoming like vegetarian, vegan, organic, or whatever. I've basically been through all of like these health changes already, and this has been happening since I was pretty young. All of my friends have always been kind of like impressed, or like kind of just like, wow, at how much I've been able to alter my diet. But at the same time, they can be impressed all they want. To me, I always see myself falling back into the place where I'm eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of sugar, and not keeping up with that regimen. And it's not just eating well, like I've been athletic since forever. I mean, my sister's a gymnast. I've played all the sports. I've done it all. And nothing really stick like that. So really, my ultimate goal here is consistency. And where I am at right now is I'm vegan. And I say vegan because I'm having a hard time with the raw vegan, the fruitarian, the 80-10-10, the high carb raw vegan. Yeah. You know, I had been blaming it on Chicago, blaming it on my girlfriend, blaming it on my weakness or whatever, but what happened really is I'm not really sure what caused it, but I got really stressed. Sorry, I went swimming and a lot of chlorine on my nose. And I got really stressed, and the kind of stressed where I'm just like, I want to numb out right now. I don't want to feel what I'm feeling, which is kind of part of like the addictive personality, I think, comes into play. And that happened this week. It's almost been 2 weeks now, but I was completely fruitarian, and I'd been like that for at least a month, at least almost 2 months probably. So I'm really frustrated with this cycle that I keep going through. I noticed that even like the course of my life, I've kind of allowed myself to be blown around by certain desires of mine, and my main focus right now is trying to build a routine and become consistent and try to see where I can have effect in my own life and have control there. Because I think a lot of what happened when I was in the depression and the psychosis and all of that was because I felt like I wasn't in control of my life. And a lot of that has to do with consistency and, never sticking to just one thing. So what I did probably a year ago is I chose things that I was sure I wanted in my life. Health, for one thing. That has been a consistent theme since forever. Eventually I would stumble into fruitarianism, and I would stick to that, but I'm having a hard time with that since I've cut out everything else, and my lifestyle was so clean up until 2 weeks ago, and it's like suddenly I just broke, and I'm having a hard time believing that I won't break again if I start this again. So basically, I'm afraid of failure. And I guess what I would tell someone in my situation is try to figure out what I've learned from this situation and how to combat the problem for next time. So for instance, this is actually something I've been paying attention to. So the trigger this time for stopping the raw food diet was stress. And what was it exactly that stressed me out was that I was physically exhausted because I had been training a lot and working a lot, and not even that, I just kind of like felt like I just couldn't do anymore physically. And for that, I started feeling really ashamed because I had a half marathon coming up in like a week or so, and I'm like feeling like I should be training, I should be doing this, because I'd never run a half marathon before. I did really good, by the way, thank you for asking. And there's a lot of shame there. And basically, I'm just like, well, if I'm gonna give up physically in the athletic sense, I might as well just give up in the diet sense, and me just like letting go at that point. But I will admit, they say that addiction is a short-term solution to a longer problem. Now, I made a lot of changes in a short period of time. Like, I decided to start being an athlete, like dedicating myself to one sport, and also drastically changing my diet all in a course of a few months. And I also started basically I was like fine-tuning very quickly, and to me that felt like an excuse for the stress. I'm just like, I'm making a lot of changes right now, and it just feels like I can't keep up with it because I just feel so stressed physically and mentally. And with my job, working with clients who come in feeling stressed and they want to relax, it's like sometimes, those people aren't always the easiest to be in a room with. And, I'm sure there's hard jobs out there, and I'm sure mine isn't the hardest. I mean, I think my job is like, I'm very, very fortunate to have my job, believe me. Uh, and I'm sure there's blacks and whites to all the jobs out there, but, so yeah, I guess. And then this is the first time of me actually supporting myself, living my own, being responsible for a dog who hates living in an apartment, and like all of these like compiling things like freaking me out and stressing me out. And I think the reason I actually did so well at the half marathon was because I was able to let go, and I was able to allow myself to start over, to reassess what changes were the most important to me, because I felt like I didn't know which way to look. I'm just like, what am I supposed to be focusing on? And there's so many changes that I've promised that I'd make, and I'm just like, I've committed myself to so many things that I just exploded. And letting go and surrendering and giving up to the stress and changes actually was a relief, and it was what I needed. Is kind of like letting yourself be human for a second. So I allowed myself to be human for a week, and I ate a lot of carbs, and I ate a lot of hummus, and I ate a lot of chips, and I did really damn well. And the day of the race, I ate some chocolate coconut milk, which actually I heard chocolate milk was a really good restorative for racing, apart from being raw vegan. And I ate a lot of dates and some hummus, and that I had some cramping at first, but I got through it. And so another thing that's going on right now is that even though I've accepted the fact that I have given up on being a raw vegan. I've given up once again, and this will be the third time I think I've given up on it. Well, I guess the second time, because the first time I was eating like nuts and shit, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I can reassess again this time. Something I didn't do for the second time when I started again is I didn't really plan my meals out, which I'm not really that great at doing, because when I'm hungry, I just want to grab something and eat. Another reason why I think raw vegan is like such a good decision for me. And I do it throughout the day. I have a busy schedule. Like, I don't even think about like what. Oh yeah, I had to write that down. Anyway, so maybe making sure I have meals is a good thing, or making sure I know what I'm going to be eating. But that hasn't worked for me in the past, but making sure I have food would be helpful. And noticing the time, well, that could be helpful. Let's just put that to the side as like a bonus. But what is really helpful is noticing when I'm most willing to break, like right after work, when I'm just like so sick of the people I work with, so sick of the clients coming in and me not being able to please them. It's like working a retail job, to be honest. So it can be very stressful. I mean, I don't know. It's grunt work. And so after work is a time when I am very liable to break. Or when I come home and I feel like my dog is depressed because he hates living in this tiny apartment. Tiny, I mean, it's large and it's more than enough space, but he's used to this big house and being a yard and not being trained all the time, because he's also being trained right now, so it kind of sucks for him. And it's just like I'm going through a lot of changes, and it's like important, and it's like I feel like I have no choice but to be compassionate towards myself at this point. I have no choice, because the other option is to shame myself. Like, why couldn't I do this? But I mean, what am I learning from that? Really, I feel like being compassionate, I guess, could be a learning process if you want to look at it that way. So yeah, I really want to, I'm kind of like a social recluse. I don't really talk to people that much. I'm if you ever meet me in person, I'm like beyond awkward. But you know, it's actually funny. Before I quit my my previous life, I was not like that at all. But being this new person and choosing intentionally the person I want to be, and revealing my, you know, true desires, and acting upon them, and actually pursuing the things that I want, it makes me nervous to be myself. And you know, maybe it's because I haven't discovered that full self yet. I don't know. But it would be cool to like meet people that are raw vegan, so I can like, I don't know, we can go for runs together, go for bike rides together, walk dogs together, go to the dog park. We could play some music together. I play music. I'm also a musician. I write a lot of music, so if anyone like drums or plays guitar or plays bass, that'd be really cool to like hook up. And I'm not very good at jamming yet. That's actually why the guitar is out, is because I'm taking lessons so I can learn how to jam. I'm really great at playing for myself, but for other people, it's like something I'm really learning how to do, which I guess is a good look at the big picture of my life, is that I'm trying to break out of this shell called the ego, and understand and take responsibility for my own emotions. And I really think that's where I'm at right now. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I'm going to post it and practice guitar for an hour. So probably I'll post soon or not soon. This whole consistency thing is really a bitch, but I will try. Alright, goodbye.